Mowbray Park, just off Sunderland city centre. One of the oldest municipal parks in northeast England. But before we start exploring, let's have a look at the building across the road. The old council offices, now awaiting demolition. It's the subject of an interesting urban legend. The complex was designed around a couple of hexagonal blocks, connected by walkways. See those pillars? I was told by a friend, who in turn had it from a friend, that those pillars have explosives embedded in them. Supposedly, in the event of invasion or civil unrest, the explosives would be detonated, causing the upper stories to collapse, which would turn the complex into a self-contained fortification. Almost certainly not true, but I'll be watching the demolition with interest. Okay, back to the park. Mowbray Park, Sunderland. Known as the People's Park when the first section was opened in 1857. The later section of the park, which we're in at the moment, was opened on the 11th of July 1866. An unusual interactive sundial, in which the person consulting it becomes the gnomon. This sculpture, representing a ship's propellers, was presented to the city by the people of its twin town, Saint Nazaire, in 2003. The walrus commemorates Lewis Carroll's links with the city. In other words, he visited a few times, and as a result everyone is convinced the experience influenced everything he subsequently wrote. But they also say the same about Whitburn, just down the coast, and just about every other place he visited. The Victoria Hall Disaster Memorial. The 16th of June 1883. Over 2,000 children crowded into the Victoria Hall on that day to watch an entertainment show and receive a toy. As the show ended, a mob of children descended a back stairway to collect their toys. They were met by a half-bolted door, which created a crush on the stairs. Those in front couldn't go anywhere, those behind continued to pile on. Result: 183 children lost their lives by crushing or suffocation. William McGonagall, the famous Scottish poet, felt moved to commemorate the disaster in verse. "'Twas in the town of Sunderland, and in the year of 1883, that about 200 children were launched into eternity, while witnessing an entertainment in Victoria Hall, while they, poor little innocents, to God for help did call." And he continued in similar vein for another 15 verses. The Victoria Hall was just over the road there. It got bombed and demolished during World War II. The War Memorial. And just across the road from the War Memorial, an old drinking fountain. Blue plaque alert. Every Victorian park should have a bandstand. And another old drinking fountain. The William Hall Fountain, to be exact. William Hall was a philanthropist and a highly respected member of the Independent Order of Oddfellows. He was the oldest Oddfellow in the north of England when he died, aged 75, in 1876. Voluntary contributions from the Manchester Unity of Oddfellows paid for this in his memory. John Kendlish. He opened the original park on the 21st of May 1857. This stone commemorates a strange event. Back in the 1670s, a man by the name of Coward was digging in the quarry that now forms part of this park. Entombed in a cavity in a rock he found a live toad, with a knob on its head as big as an egg. The knob proved to be full of diamonds, which Coward subsequently converted into what was described as a great deal of money. The sculpture was designed by Poetlin de France and a local stonemason named Alec Peaver. This bridge marks the border between the newer and older parts of the park. Jack Crawford statue. Born in Sunderland, and was honored for bravery when he climbed the mast of his ship, HMS Venerable, during the Battle of Camperdown to nail the British flag back up. Then he came home and died of cholera. The door is modern, but the stone arch might be medieval. It's supposed to have come from the old Bishop Wearmouth Rectory, which was demolished in the 19th century. There's said to be a cave behind there, but the door is a fake. It doesn't open. Building hill. Half a hill really, the rest having been quarried away for building purposes, hence the name. At least that's the received wisdom. But the hill has in the past also been known as Boylden Hill and Biden Hill. Here's a painting from around 1840. The building may have been a pub. Whatever its name, this hill seems in the past to have been a place of strangeness. A place which, to quote one source, was the haunt of forms that flit when life is gone. And the remarkable diamond toad, referred to earlier, was dug out of the lost portion of the hill. There was believed to have been a barrow on the hill, and a human skeleton was unearthed near a place called the Mount, now lost, in 1842. There are also stories that Midsummer Eve bonfires were at one time lit here. It was also the site of a haunting that attracted the attention of no less a person than John Wesley, founder of the Methodist movement. In 1768, one Elizabeth Hobson, who seems to have been something of a natural psychic who was well known locally for her powers, communicated with a dead relative on the hill. The ghost's object, as one account puts it, was to put the lady in possession of a certain piece of property which had been wrongfully withheld from her. Although the ghost was supposed to have gone away once it had delivered its message, many locals believed it still walked, and crowds would go to the hill at midnight in the hopes of seeing it. Elizabeth Hobson and her deceased relative met in a hollow, called the Punch Bowl, near the northwest foot of the hill. It's not there now. But let's look at that old painting again. Is that the Punch Bowl? The Punch Bowl was also used by children for egg rolling on Easter Monday. The statue is of General Henry Havelock, one of those Victorians dedicated to bringing the dubious benefits of the British Empire to the world at large, whether the world wanted it or not. India was the lucky recipient of his particular blend of imperialism and evangelical Christianity. And it was in India he died of dysentery, which you may see as an appropriate comment on the British Empire he helped build. A couple of years ago the statue was supposed to have been attacked by Black Lives Matter activists. But closer inspection points the finger at a false flag operation, carried out by a certain convicted extreme right character who lived nearby. And there we end our visit to Mowbray Park. Hope you enjoyed the trip.